Hi Equals, it's Kim. And today I'm going to do my vlog with my glasses on because I actually wrote notes. Usually I don't read from notes and I'm just winging it, but I thought I would do some notes today. You're going to see this video kind of in mid-June, although today is actually June 3rd. And so last Saturday, this is Monday, last Saturday was the first of 20 some odd prides in Columbus. One of the things that I have access to through my work is like a Twitter feed from those with whom I disagree. And often they're not talking about LGBT stuff, but every now and then they do. And of course, Pride Month tends to be one of the months where we hear more from those with whom I disagree. This morning's comment was, well, when all these corporations are pouring so much money into your events, Pride, how can you talk about being oppressed? Okay. Yes, there is a lot of money that goes into Pride events. You want to know partially why corporations put a lot of money into Pride events? It's advertising, folks. Let's not equate this with, a lot of innate support. Let's not make this all about how welcome and affirming LGBT people are in the workplace. The workplace actually is getting better to some extent, partially because companies who do invest in prides are becoming more open, more inclusive. They have employee resource groups that are LGBT specific. And yeah, that's true, especially for LGBT people of an upper socioeconomic status. I think I've talked about this before. Most oppression, most discrimination is against those with very little power. The more privilege you have, the more power you have. Privilege is provided through socioeconomic status, whether your skin is white, whether you happen to be male, who your parents were. There's all kinds of things that go into privilege and status. Here's the reason for prides, at least from my perspective. Other people may have other opinions because maybe they want to raise money, maybe they want to go out and drink a lot of beer, whatever. But here's the main reason for Pride. Pride is an opportunity to celebrate LGBT people. So those who are scared, those LGBT people who are scared, possibly scarred, know that they are not a mistake and that they are a reason to celebrate, a reason to have a party. Now, Pride is a specific date, it's a specific location, and I've heard a lot of straight cisgender people, some of whom are people with whom I disagree, ask, why Pride? Why Pride? Why do you have to be separate? Well, it's like anything. If you look at a party or a celebration that is specifically for a marginalized population from your privileged perspective, generally those with whom I disagree are white men, folks, then you kind of say, well, why are you excluding me? When you're not really excluded, you're always invited to Pride. You can be there. But the reason is that okay, and I'm going to speak to that white man who is generally the person with whom I disagree. Sometimes it's a white woman. You can be you, straight, cisgender, anywhere you want, any day of the week, and you move through the world in a much easier way than people who are marginalized somehow. So I'm talking particularly about LGBT people, but we see this also in communities of color, people living with disabilities. There's all kinds of places where we see, what would appear to be exclusionary events. But straight cisgender people can walk through the world every day, confident that their core identities of who they are as a gendered person and who they are as who they are in relation to people romantically, etc., is accepted, is conforming, is going to be affirmed. LGBT people, on the other hand, don't move through the world that easily. Granted, yes, that socioeconomic status, whiteness, maleness, all do allow some LGBT people to move through the world much easier than others. But pride, and the reason why we try to make it a safe place, is a place for LGBT people for a few hours, can be themselves, can move through that world, that little place where pride is, right, in a similar manner to the way straight cisgender people can move through the world all the time. It's a place where we can be ourselves. I don't feel comfortable holding my wife's hand on the streets. I might in my own little neighborhood, but out in the general world, no. But I'll bet you straight cisgender folks feel pretty comfortable holding the hand of the person you're in a romantic relationship with, your significant other. And that's probably not even something you think twice about. But I do, because I have to worry about my safety. Whether it's my psychological safety, because I don't want you, and this has happened to me before, yelling nasty words out of your pickup truck window, or actually, doing something violent or hostile towards me as a result. This is what I can do at Pride. What I can do at Pride is hold my wife's hand comfortably. I know I'm safe. Nobody's going to call me a dyke. Nobody's going to throw something at me. Nobody's going to, hurt me. That I am, for the most part, safe in the space that is Pride. Those with whom I disagree often claim that Pride is a celebration of sex or sexuality, and they mean sexiness. And yes, there may be gay bars who have a float and a parade, and their bartenders are wearing skimpy Speedos. Yep, that does happen. But look around you, straight cisgender people. You have beauty contests where women are wearing skimpy bathing suits. You yourselves have advertisements on TV where people are wearing skimpy bathing suits. Skimpy bathing suits is a human issue, a human thing. It is not an LGBT thing. And, I've seen some white cisgender planned parades that, have a lot of flesh on display. So, shall we say, that is not an LGBT thing. That's a human thing. That's something we just do. And I get that straight cisgender people are often very uncomfortable around displays of LGBTness. But Pride isn't for you. If that makes you uncomfortable, don't go. Don't watch the news coverage. It's really simple. When things bother me and that I'm uncomfortable with, I don't watch them. I don't throw a fit about them. I don't go on Twitter and start talking about how horrible I am. They're just things that I know make me uncomfortable, and I can either choose to grow through my discomfort or avoid what makes me uncomfortable. These days I'm trying to grow through my discomfort. I recommend you try that someday. This past weekend on Saturday, I went to Findlay Pride. I used to live in the Findlay area, and so it was kind of fun to kind of go back to a park I was familiar with and see the changes. I haven't lived there in almost 20 years and actually moved away from Findlay because of my perception and others' perception at the time that Findlay was not an LGBT-friendly place. That was 20 years ago. I drove into Findlay and there are banners up and down Main Street celebrating Pride Month. And I was told, I didn't see this, that there's a section of town where the businesses are all flying little rainbow flags. And the park has a very large pride set up in it. No parade. There was no gay bar with guys in skimpy Speedos, so it wasn't that. It was a kid zone where kids could go and get their faces painted. There was a teen zone where kids could go and do crafts or just kind of sit and chat and talk. There was a bouncy house. There was a market of people selling crafts that had nothing to do with anything sexual, by the way. There was a stage. And yeah, on that stage was one of the things that the people with whom I disagree are having an issue about right now, especially here in the central Ohio area, and that is drag. Anybody can do drag. Drag is dressing up as someone you are not. So quite almost by definition, drag is dressing up as the opposite gender from how you identify. If this is a man dressing up as a woman, they're known as a drag queen. And if this is a woman dressing up as a man, they're known as a drag king. But this is a performance, folks. And I know that some people pour their heart and soul into this, and I don't mean to minimize that. But it is a performance. It's a stage show. It's a fundraising technique sometimes. It is, to some people, a job. They're getting paid. They get tips. Drag happens to kind of originate out of bar culture in the same way that LGBT people, in order to meet other LGBT people, was going to a gay bar. It's no surprise that something that is very associated with LGBT people would also be associated with bar culture. But drag has come out of the bar. RuPaul's Drag Race, as an example. I haven't seen the show, so I'm not going to comment too much on it. But I know that as drag becomes something that is part of our popular culture, kids want to learn more about it. And so we've, in Central Ohio, had a couple of libraries that were going to do summer programming on, Drag 101. Oh my goodness, have the people with whom I disagree gone batshit crazy? Excuse my French. Yes, they're calling this that libraries are now an LGBT breeding ground. Hate to tell you, straight cisgender people, you are the LGBT breeding ground. As I've said before, LGBT people are generally born from straight cisgender parents. Born that way. Would teaching a child who is already inclined to maybe enjoy dressing up? What kid doesn't like to dress up and lip sync to music? My goodness, folks. Maybe there's some makeup tips they might learn. Maybe putting on a wig. This is theater. This is theater. Drag is a type of theater. It doesn't have anything to do innately with the sexuality or the identity of the performer. Are drag artists often LGBT people? Yes. Exclusively LGBT people? No. Welcome to Pride Month, everybody. There are certainly good things about Pride and the celebration of the wonderful people that LGBT people are, because we don't get that message very often, as well as a time when those with whom I disagree get very vocal about their opposition to LGBT people celebrating themselves, feeling good about themselves, learning about themselves. Yeah, love Pride Month. It is a wild ride, folks. Hop on, enjoy. If you like this video, please subscribe, give me a thumbs up, hit the little bell and make it red so that that you can be notified every time I put up a new video. And I will be back next week with more Pride. Happy Pride Month, equals. Bye.